Middle of page 27. Many suffering people exploit the people around them. They are so caught up in their own misery. They want sympathy and support so much. They are so greedy in their demands on others that they have little or no awareness of the needs, limitations of those who care about them. In time, their dependency and greediness wears upon their loved ones and workmates. They lament that others do not understand them, that no one suffers as they do. At first, they cannot see that the taking is both a result and a cause of their own neurotic pain. They must learn to give themselves away to others and to their purposes if they are to be freed from their self-imposed prison. Overly sensitive people may not see the positive side of their character. They see the obsessions, but not the ability to persist. They see the sensitivity to pain, but not the potential for sensitivity to others. They see their need for empathy, but not their ability to empathize. They see their strong fear of failure, but not their strong capacity to succeed. They see their cautious hesitancy to act, but not their imaginative foresight. For each neurotic problem area, there is a corresponding positive desire and ability. However, because of their idealism and perfectionism, these qualities too have positive aspects. Neurotic people focus on the defects and feel inferior. They use their strong analytical powers on themselves in a negative and unproductive manner. Acceptance. Acceptance in constructive living has two aspects, a relatively passive aspect and a relatively active one. The passive element involves giving up on trying to change one's immediate feelings in any direct way and avoiding extended fantasies of what might have been or what ought to be. The attitude is one of noticing the feelings and fantasies, but taking a hands-off stance towards them. The active element of acceptance involves constructive action based on the reality that presents itself to us. Reality, too, must be accepted, but we can work to change the circumstances in which we find ourselves. Our efforts must be based on a realistic appraisal of the situation. In both the passive and the active sense, acceptance means a sort of broad embracing of what is followed by reality-based effort. There is no fatalistic resignation here, only sensible, practical, directed effort. This approach of acceptance, arugamama in Japanese, cuts into the vicious cycle of attention to suffering and increased sensitivity to cues that remind us of our pain. The focus turns from immediate misery to constructive action. It begins with distraction from suffering, but it leads to reduction of misery through changed behavior and attitudes and changed circumstances as a result of our actions. This acceptance is more than a method of cure of neurosis. It is a fundamental approach towards life that is useful for anyone. In the spring of 1985, Yozu Hasegawa made an important contribution to the theory by pointing out the parallels between obsession with neurotic distress and obsession with work. Thus, he found another bridge to expand the usefulness of our constructive living approach beyond that of the suffering neurotic. The wage earner who goes to work early, returns home late, thinks only about office matters, and scarcely concerns himself with family and community affairs is, in a sense, suffering from a life-narrowing obsession, much like that of the symptom-focused neurotic. Any obsession whether with success or love or control or money or fame or power or a hobby or a car or a promotion or a family or whatever. It distracts us from reality. Fixation narrows our attention and turns us away from living fully. Changing orientations. Oh, sorry. Spider showed up on my phone. Miserable people are usually feeling oriented. Much of their thoughts and actions are aimed at producing or reducing certain feelings. They are rarely successful at maintaining comfortable feelings or eliminating uncomfortable ones. In their efforts to do the impossible with feelings, they are distracted from the necessary tasks of everyday life. They judge every action in terms of whether they feel like doing it or not, what effect it is likely to have on their emotional state, and whether it is possible in view of their psychological condition. The balance of their attention is on themselves rather than the task at hand. It is no wonder that they tend to withdraw, avoid, escape. Every task begins to look formidable. Simply getting up in the morning or leaving the house may appear insurmountable. Purpose orientation. Little spider, go away. Go away. Purpose orientation is quite another matter. The student of constructive living learns to determine and evaluate behavior in terms of proper purposes and goals. The focus is on what the behavioral effort is intended to accomplish in the real world. No longer do feelings and potential future feelings determine what action will be undertaken. While feeling shy, the student undertakes the action of introducing himself. While worrying about the reader's response, the student writes the letter of apology. While feeling panicky, the student leaves her home to do grocery shopping. Awareness shifts gradually from the interstate. Get over here. Excuse me. Awareness shifts gradually from the inner state of feeling to the requirements of the surrounding situation. Behavioral successes encourage more attention to the outer world. Experience begins to show that purpose orientation pays off. What one reads about constructive living makes more sense. One tries more purpose-oriented activity, and so on, in a progressing spiral. The result is usually a great reduction in anxiety and self-doubt, as has been pointed out before. But discomfort won't completely disappear, nor should it. Anxiety-free living doesn't fit the reality that humans experience. There should be moments of fear and guilt and anxiety and sorrow and trepidation in everyone's life. These feelings are useful in cautioning us about reality. They need not be determinants of our behavior, but they do provide hints about uncomfortable situations and accessory information about what might need to be done. Steps toward the process of growth. There is no sudden and complete conversion to this lifestyle. The process of growth occurs in fits and starts, painfully and with great effort. Students may find themselves on one or another of the following plateaus for long periods of time. They may move backward temporarily, but the process can never be totally reversed or abandoned once undertaken. Reality demonstrates its long-term value to the student. Step 1. Students begin to realize that others too are suffering from similar problems, thoughts, and patterns of behavior and emotion. They begin to see their problems in constructive living terms. They begin to doubt their previous views of themselves and of life. They begin to see that they aren't fundamentally different from or inferior to other people. What they thought were crucial weaknesses in their character gradually take on less importance in their thinking. They begin to communicate more openly with others. They begin to listen to others as well as talking about their own difficulties. The more they hear, the more sense this new perspective makes. Step 2. A student begins to understand this life way more systematically. However, they have trouble putting it into practice on a regular basis. They make efforts to live constructively, but sometimes they forget. They escape from reality. They doubt the theory and their ability to live by the principles. Step 3. The students increasingly experience the joy of success obtained from proper action in a daily life. The danger at this stage is that they will become attached to the feelings associated with success. When some great effort doesn't result in the expected feelings of accomplishment and joy, the student may be tempted to give up for a while. They are still feeling oriented. On the whole, though, the vicious cycle of fixated attention and oversensitivity is disrupted. More and more attention is turned outward. The student becomes less self-protective and clearer about their purposes. Feelings of inferiority diminish. Step 4. Reality is accepted as it is. A productive life becomes centered around serving others. Reality-oriented, purpose-oriented behavior becomes a habit. Constructive living is no longer considered a set of propositions and principles. It is incorporated naturally into daily life. The students want to share this life way with others who wish to learn it. The students go about everyday life with full attention. Feelings are noticed, but feelings no longer are the primary determinants of behavior. A rich existential gratitude emerges. Here's our list. Principles for constructive living. 1. Questions to ask ourselves when anxious and troubled. What is the immediate problem? What is the cause of the problem? What kinds of solutions are there to the problem? What is the best way I can work a solution? What prevents me from acting on the solution now? 2. When we undertake something unfamiliar, it is natural to be anxious about it. 3. Actions become habits. 4. We cannot always act with the consistency and skill that we desire. 5. There is only one thing that needs to be done in this moment. 6. Absolute perfect action with guaranteed success is impossible to achieve. 7. Worrying about the future is natural but useless. 8. It is possible to rest by shifting from one kind of task to another. 9. Complaining interferes with constructive action and it annoys others. 10. Aiming at smaller goals may lead to greater achievements. 11. When behavior is productive and constructive, we are useful to ourselves and to others. 12. Action is newly created moment by moment. It contains and creates our individuality. And the last one, 13. Questions for self-examination. A. How do my views of human existence differ from those listed above? Which views fit my life experience better? B. Have I made fruitless efforts in unrealistic directions? How? What needs to be changed? C. What are my immediate and long-term goals? And 13D. What can I do now to attain my immediate goals? Thank you for listening. We just finished page 32.